Hi everyone, I'm joined today by Stefano Manconi. Stefano is the owner of the Italian School of St. Albans. Hi Stefano.
Ciao, ciao a tutti. Hi.
Hi Stefano, and thanks for joining. Today, Stefano, I was wondering if you can actually share a bit of your experience. I know you set up a very successful school, which is about teaching Italian. And I know it's gone through a bit of a transformation in school, but can you explain today how you set up this successful business?
Yeah, I've been teaching Italian for 8 years. And before I set up my business, I was working for another school in the same city. Then suddenly they told me they didn't want to continue teaching foreign languages. And I had the possibility to rent their spaces in the evening. And I started up my business. I organized my website and I started to contact all my existing students and promoting the business through the social media. It was at the same time challenging but exciting. And I managed 4 years ago, this is when I started the business. 4 years ago, I managed to increase the number of students up to now. As I remember, in April 2016, we had more or less 5 or 6 students per group, so 25, 30 in total. And now we have an average of 10 or 11 per group, reaching almost 100 at the moment. So it was a big increase, kind of unexpected. You know, when you teach Italian, it's not like Spanish or French, which normally are more widely spoken and known. Italian is a kind of niche, but it has its own public.
Fantastic. So that's an impressive jump. So what did you
Thank
specifically
you.
do to actually get those new business or those acquisitions of new students?
Well, I think the difference between me and the previous school was that I understood the power of social media marketing. I set up also a very fresh website, which is your window. You know,
Yeah.
people judge your business through the website now. There's nothing to do about it. This is the new the new trend. If they see an old style website, they just jump to the next option. So I worked a lot with the design and the social media as well. So you know, a lot of content about Italy, about Italian language,
Right.
and we have a blog as well on the website. So people can interact with us even through social media, and it's not just a kind of cold promotion of your business through the, you know, for example, leaflets.
Yeah.
You know, in the 90s we were sending leaflets. It doesn't work like that anymore. So you have to basically go into their computer and giving content,
Yeah.
creating a bit of interest in learning the language. If there is already some interest in learning the language, kind of boost it with photos of the country, some maybe Italian recipes as well,
Okay.
and Italian grammar as well.
No, that's fantastic. So you clearly used a digital channel to acquire
Yes,
customers.
definitely.
You know, you put new content there. You obviously did some SEO and offered some adjacent type services, whether that's recipes or history about a country or specific villages in Italy. So that's great. So whilst you've acquired a lot of your customers through this online channel, your teaching still remained quite face to face and quite traditional, right? And you were successful at doing that. But I think over time you've also started, and particularly now because of the whole COVID-19 crisis, you've started to move your face to face teaching to an
Of
online
course.
teaching. And so tell me a little bit how you manage that, because that sounds quite interesting.
Well, as I said before, I was promoting online even in the normal times, just as I was doing in the previous 4 years, I'm doing now. Obviously now, instead of teaching face to face with normal classrooms,
Yeah.
now I'm teaching through virtual classrooms, and specifically with Zoom, which is a great instrument.
Yeah.
But still, I'm getting all the customers online. 95% of customers came online in the last 4 years, and still is like that. There is also a bit of a word of mouth, which still comes from the previous customers
Yeah.
that I got online, though. So basically, all the primary source is online, and then there are some other connections. People obviously recommend the school to other friends, and this is another important source. But online is the primary source.
Okay.
And now I'm just keeping promoting. I didn't give up with the crisis. There could have been another school that said, okay, our students, our base is just focused on normal classes. They don't want to continue with this kind of experimental virtual classes, so we just give up in the meantime, and we restart once the problem finishes. I didn't think the way. I offered my students to continue online, and 80% of people took the news well. Actually, I think they took it well because I was giving them an opportunity to fill up their time in a difficult moment. When everyone was was having so much time at home,
Yeah. Yeah.
having an activity like an online classes. Online class is something else. It's something that takes your mind off the problems.
That's
So
true.
many people took it like that, and obviously there are always people who don't want to update with the times. And I got some emails of some students who told me, I just don't like it online, so I maybe see you in the future when we go back to the normal classrooms, even if I don't know if if and when we'll go back. But really, I just pushed the content more, and I kept promoting the same way. Just one little difference is that before, people were looking at my school, just digiting Italian school Hertfordshire, or Italian school St. Albans, Italian classes in St. Albans. Now people don't look for that anymore, because now people know that there's not this option. People cannot go to the classes, to the physical
Yeah.
classrooms. So people now are looking on Google things like classes online, Italian classes online, learn on the web. So you have to change the SEO slightly. My previous SEO needed an update. So now I'm not competing with the other schools in the area, the other physical schools in the area. I'm competing with the rest of the world.
Right.
When you write Italian classes online, you can find a school that it's in New York, a school that is in London, a school that is in Australia. So it's not the same. So I have to still kind of keep the focus on my area,
Yeah.
on Hertfordshire, and giving an extra option by saying, look, now we are offering people from Hertfordshire, we are offering classes online. There is still this option. If you live in Hertfordshire, you can still do Italian on Zoom with me, and in the future you can continue in the normal classrooms, or if you want, even on Zoom.
Okay. So you're having to obviously segment your customer group and try and offer them a little bit more than what a competitor would be offering. And that is obviously the option to return back to face-to-face.
That's the challenge of the moment, changing your offer from a limited space, so Hertfordshire, with 1 million possible clients, maybe, to possibly the world. But the world has also a lot of other online classes. And there is also a lot of cheap stuff going on with the people who are not very qualified. We want to keep a very high level. So we want to keep the standard even online. Going online doesn't mean that you have to lower the standards. We want to keep the same quality, give you the same experience. Obviously, yeah, if you are keen to start, we can give you a free taster class, or maybe one more extra class at the end with a revision class, something that we are doing now, for example. Because people still, even if people are moving online, they still see online as something that they should get cheaper. This is the psychology of the customer.
Okay.
I was paying this amount for a normal traditional class. Now I want to pay a bit less
So
because it's online.
no, and so I get that. I've heard that also in
But
other
so
areas.
you have to give more value, you know.
Yeah. So how do you? It's interesting. How would you actually get a face-to-face experience onto an online experience? So how would you be able to capture the essence for traditional face-to-face experience through an online channel? Are there specific things that you need to watch out for?
Well, my approach is almost the same. I send a file before the lesson, and students can already get the general approach with the new lesson. Our lesson is very interactive, very focused on a conversation. There is also, you know, grammar,
Yeah.
but the focus is to explain, to get rid of the grammar quickly and let them speak, you know, let them practice together. And a great tool of Zoom is the breakout rooms.
Okay.
You can have all the students in front of you, but at the same time you can also have the breakout rooms, so you can let them work together privately, and you can monitor, you can jump from room to room to see how the things are going, and they can also send you private messages. How do we say this? So, you know, you have to, with the experience, you have to improve. You don't learn in 2 or 3 sessions, but
Yeah.
it's something that, you know, comes with experience. It's slightly different than doing the normal classes,
And
but everyone ends the lesson quite happy. You know,
okay.
they still have the same amount of chat, the same amount of grammar. They didn't change much. It's just, you know, the only difference is that you do it in front of a computer.
And what about yourself? Do you find it, is there a change in keeping the motivation levels the same from you as a teacher, from a teacher standpoint? Is it harder for you?
You mean my motivation, my motivation, or the students' motivation?
The students' motivation.
The student motivation depends on many things. The teacher can be the best teacher of the world, but if they don't take the language, if they don't absorb it well, you know, in the end they give up. Fortunately, in our school, people tend to continue. We have a good level of continuation. But motivation, when it's about learning a language, it depends on many things. Depends on, for example, I had an Italian girlfriend or an Italian boyfriend. I'm learning Italian because of him, you know, or her. When I go to meet his or her parents in Italy and they don't speak English, once the relationship ends, probably they stop even learning the language. This happens.
Yeah.
But, you know, then you have the students who love Italy. They go to Italy very often. So, you know, they plan to visit the country in the future. They love Italian food, Italian culture. They read Italian. These people normally continue.
Okay. So it
And
sounds
we have people with us for since 2016.
like,
You know, 4 years learning the language. I remember them. They started from scratch, and now they speak the language quite well.
so and Stefano, so where do you see the future? What's the future like for you? Do you see a shift in your business model, or you're going to continue with what you have today?
I'm enjoying online lessons, and many students are enjoying them, excluding people with some unstable connection. You know, there are always people um, who have problems with the internet, but it's 5% of people normally, so it's not a big deal. The general picture is that at the moment I want to focus with the online classes, if even if in September there will be probably a very slight chance to go back to the classes. I don't think we will. I see January as a date where with this social distance will be a bit more um, flexible. So in the near term, I see ourselves keeping promoting the online classes and continue with giving extra content and um, giving also the positive sides of online learning, which give you a lot of benefits. If you think about it, before you had to take your car, park the car. I had students who had to do 40-45 minutes journey to come to the school, looking for a park. Now all these 45 minutes to go and then to return home can be used for something else. You can easily do your lesson with a glass of wine from your living room. So I don't see why not. um,
Yeah.
the online approach for me is great at the moment. Then no one knows if when back to the normality, people will go back to the normal approaches, or they will continue online. While probably before 90% of people prefer to come to the school, after this emergency, I will say that 50-50. There will be more and more people, especially the younger ones, who want to start things online. And the COVID-19 emergency, which was a bad thing in general, gave this type of a boost to people. It forced people to move online, I think. If there wasn't this emergency, people would have continued, with the normal approaches and going to the school, not only for Italian classes, but for yoga classes, for meditation, for maybe gym. No one can predict now if they will go back to the place or they will stay at home to learn new things. Definitely there will be a change. Definitely won't be like before. So I guess my school, for example, will offer both options, partially online and partially at the school. For people who prefer a traditional approach, but I don't see much. I don't see much difference. For me, if you want to learn something or if you want to get something out of it, as you said before, with the motivation, you get whatever you want, online or physically, doesn't matter.
Perfect. No, so listen, it sounds like any form of education. I think there's going to be a shift, right,
There's
towards
gonna be a shift. Yeah,
online.
I don't think everything will be online. There will be still, the urge to meet other people, by contact. We are humans, we are a social animals, so for some people it's more important than for others. But we are moving more and more through an online education and an online world in general. Even if it's still good to go out and leave your house to do your stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
There are obviously good and bad factors in everything. I think online, the convenience of learning online, it's very important to emphasize.
Perfect. Listen, Stefano, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope to see you again on the show.
Thanks to you, and was a pleasure to meet you and to speak to you. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, Stefano. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye, 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 bye.